Let's talk about Intel and laws, signaling tech paths, and agents. I know you showed off some fancy things you can learn with agents that was
Yeah, we
unaware
have a
of.
person Discord. I
Yeah,
think
and
I'm not sure if I showed the. I think I showed it off in the sit-reps as well.
you
Like
did. Yeah, yeah,
at
yeah.
least after I did the person Discord.
Yeah, you showed it off. It's surprising what you can learn, and I think it's definitely like so important. I didn't get agents until very late, which was a mistake. I should have agents in your cities well before turn 100.
Yeah, I
Uh,
got them like you got portcullis earlier than me, but you didn't
I
actually
it
get
was I
the
just never
scout
spent.
tour.
I just didn't have orders, like didn't have
Yeah,
enough orders. like like there's only like 55. Only have 45 orders. Like what am I gonna do? Like I can't move a scout. So yeah, yeah. So I think yeah, we've covered that in your Discord point. But it's like you can learn a lot from those agents, and obviously they also
I mean
sometimes
we
give.
can go briefly over it. Like
Please, yeah.
you can see all the units, all the projects that are
Hmm.
available for construction. More
Which tells you the
or
text that
even
they
more
have.
crucially,
So
you can see if the opponent lacks the resources for those units.
yep.
So you can see if there's no stone, if there's no food, if there's no wood,
Hmm.
which can be quite important. Of course, you don't quite know what the income rate is,
Yep.
but knowing you're going through all your wood while building ships
Yep.
is gives you some
Some intel.
feel how your opponent is doing. Or if you did a round of upgrades, you can check if that was all his resources.
Yep.
If he spent
Or
all his
if he just
resources,
built a wonder and you're like, oh, he's out of
or
stone.
like yeah, just out stone. Or if there's, you can see in the rush options, you can see
Hmm.
it's similar for civics and training.
Yep.
Like citizens doesn't really matter since you see them anyway. Money matters. You cannot then
Yep.
see that as well. And orders is kind of an edge case. It matters, though it doesn't matter 99% of the time. And then if your opponent enacts elite, it starts mattering very much.
In terms of just seeing whether they're
Being if he
banking
spends
orders.
all his orders while having elite
Yeah. Is
enacted or
is he
not.
banking? Yeah. If he's banking, if they're banking, then an alpha is coming and you need to get ready.
Yeah.
Man, elite alpha strikes. I've only done a couple, but dropping 170 orders on someone or 210 orders is just
Same
incredible.
with
Like, yeah,
coin debasement. I only
yeah,
think I had it in one game, and then I had like 2 or 3 turns where I just bought 30, 40, 50 orders to
yeah.
fuel the offensive.
They're really
It's
expensive,
disgusting.
but that's why you have trade league. So
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Agents. So that's agents. Then sort of backing up to strategy, like I think we chatted about naval combat and how important it is for promotions. Coxswain, I think, is one of the important ones just to have a routing unit because route is so good.
Yeah, one or two usually.
Some
Should have at
grapplers.
least one backup unit. You never know, like
Yeah, yeah,
getting
yeah.
sniped or yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you can make use of all the
Yeah.
special C promotions, like grapplers
Yeah.
for stunning, fire ships for pushing around. I mean,
Yeah.
I've showcased
Yeah.
uh,
In your
the,
tactical turn.
some of
Yeah.
the things you can do with panic,
Yep.
but
Same thing with
also
fire
having
ship.
some maneuver ships
Yep.
to get into position can sometimes be very important.
Yeah.
Or just the Seaborn 20% combat strength is really good
Yep.
for one promotion.
Yes. Yeah. Very, very strong.
So
I wish there was a landborn for military units. Yeah.
and if it ever gets to sea to land combats or coastal cities on
Yep.
some larger like seaside or like free for
Yeah.
alls with lots of sea, the new marine promotion
Hmm.
is really really big. It's an upgrade for amphibious.
Yep.
Gives you another 50% and then 25 and another 25 into settlement. Did they
Yeah.
nerf that? Was that 50-50? Maybe I
I think you
misremember.
might be thinking of assault, which is still 50 into
Should
urban.
be. But it like Drummond's, I had 2 Drummonds with Marines once, and they really
Yeah.
like attacking coastal city becomes so easy.
Yeah, and your opponent does not expect it either because they're just like, like you're why is what your ships are breaking down my walls? What's going on? Like, yeah,
Like
um,
2/3 of the city's health gone with 2 ships.
yeah. I mean, it
Like
is a 10 strength unit, right? So that's
yeah,
part of it. So
yeah.
strategy wise, like timing, I feel like old world. and we saw that in this game, is very much about like finding a timing window and then hitting your opponent with a devastating alpha strike. I've seen this in multiple games where like maybe we're on par militarily. That was not the case here, obviously, but whoever attacks first and then kills like a significant amount of the other person's army, that other person can't counterattack enough, and then it just snowballs. There is a huge first strike advantage, and you want to make that first strike as strong as possible. Would you agree?
To an extent, yes. But you need to get a significant power advantage to execute that.
Yeah.
At least if the other player is reasonably competent and decently competent and positions his army well.
Yeah, terrain is huge, right? Like this wasn't. I mean, here I was trying to abuse the river. I didn't have time to like set up fortifications. I probably should have dropped back, as you said, to a closer river.
It's even like when I was advancing, I put most of my units into cover just to get because your cataphracts archers are the ones that can kill the pikemen at least somewhat. So like just when advancing or even defensively, positioning is huge in this game. Just
hills very important for. I think it is the reason I love the melee horse units so much. And maybe I should play more Hatti because they get their unique unit. Is just the open plains attack. That like that 25% attack bonus for being, or I guess it's a defensive minus. You can see it here in the tooltip mounted.
No, the tooltip lies.
Yeah, it is actually a bonus. Yeah, that is so huge in terms of just like, and I should try. I wish I could play with riders. Clerics are just too strong, but like because flanking also is just enormous. So suddenly you just start eliminating things.
It's trivial. You're not going to pick traders. So
yeah. So Hatti, another reason for me to try more games with Hatti. Yeah,
Egypt usually also has riders.
Yeah, I think Egypt should be like. I don't know whether I would pick sages or. I think I would probably. Well, right now with the way sages and clerics interact, I would pick riders, sages, and clerics. But like putting that aside, I would probably. It would be tough between landowners and sages because you do need some growth early from somewhere. So, yeah. But yeah, Persia. I think it's just hard to. I mean, you can't drop clerics. You can't drop hunters, and you really don't want to drop statesmen because they're just amazing. So there's no room for riders right now. Yeah.
It's also when you're getting to these big engagements where the units all clumped up, getting a flanking bonus isn't actually that easy.
It's not feasible. Yeah, it's very effective early game when there's not a lot of units and your chariots can just dance
you're
around.
Clearing tribes and so.
Yeah, you're clearing tribes
once the fighting breaks down. Like 2 or 3 turns in, and
the
units start dying, and everything is more spread out. Then it's suddenly
it's amazing.
A lot stronger again.
Yeah, it's very nice. It does stack with the flat plane bonus. So your chariot on a flat plane is like a flanking rider's chariot on a flat plane is like hello. We're ready to rumble.
My well promoted chariots with horsebane and strike promotions. They were almost as strong as cataphracts when doing their art chains.
Briefly, just promotions. I feel like again, since you want to have them.
Also an advantage of melee. Strike promotion is only for melee.
Yeah.
Then your cataphract archers only you're looking for the
Eagle Eye and Rain. Eagle Eye and Marksman. Yeah.
Those two.
I had one somewhere here. This one, yeah. I was checking every single archer and being like, can I buy marks with it? Here I didn't have time to buy, but yeah. Like Eagle Eye is so good. Just makes them incredibly powerful. And Marksman gives them more range and suddenly like I think it's same with Babylon's or similar with Babylon's unique unit, like getting Eagle Eye on that thing and getting Marksman to Sumerian archers is like, okay, now I have a mobile mangonel that doesn't need to deploy and can just shoot things from 4 tiles away and splash. So yeah. You I think in your turn 90 sit rep, you said maybe in 20 turns when our armies meet, and I was struck watching that because it was pretty much exactly 20 turns, like 21 turns. How did you estimate?
It's just a guess.
It was just a guess, but like I think, how do you like? Is it just like the map is this big? I think I have a window to attack here. I know I'm on a clock, right? I can't leave him alone for 10 more turns because then I'm in trouble because he just wins on points.
I mean, I've been misjudging the distances and time to get to you all
Yeah.
game up to that point, I guess. So
Yeah.
at that point, the estimates kind of got corrected enough so that they met the actual what was actually happening in the end. So
Do you find in Old World there's a lot of back and forth though? Like here, obviously didn't have the power, but like I feel like that big alpha strike, someone's going to win, or there have been times where like neither party wins, and then
you have to look this. If you look at the point in time, I'm stronger than you. So
yeah, that's a good time to attack. So
very surprisingly to me, in the end, this was an economic victory.
Yes.
Because I just outproduced you on units, and then I had
Yeah.
the counter to your units as well, so this was even more devastating of an attack.
Yeah. Yeah, but you just built more units.
Take
Way more
away
units.
the counter, take away the economic advantage by you getting mills earlier, and things look very differently.
Yeah. Yeah. 69 to 38. Like, yeah, I mean, I had I just focused on building more units and maybe had more than one production city out of 29.
As much as an alpha strike can be devastating, especially if you hit the right timing.
Yeah.
It's still hard to attack in Old World.
It is, yes.
Against a proper defensive setup.
Yeah, I did not have a proper defensive setup here.
To attack, I mean, a river is usually a decent defensive setup. In most cases.
Yeah, I think I needed like 5 more turns to get this set up, and then get cohorts and put swordsmen here, and then Mansionals.
Your only real play
was backing up.
Drive for victory was backing up.
Yeah.
But even then, at this point, was
the problem was the ships.
It's the
real. Yeah, and the problem was the ships.
I didn't know the ship count exactly. So
yeah,
I was saying where you fall back, and you also would have more time to build up more ships and be closer to your reinforcing cities if you fall back.
Yep.
So
yeah, the further you stretch towards my land, the further you have to come, and like you don't actually have that many forces back here, right? Like if I somehow miraculously
in the very back, I didn't have the orders.
Yeah, but if somehow miraculously I were to like start wiping out this army somewhat, and like reinforcements are pouring in. Like if we're fighting here,
your reinforcement line along
like we're fighting here, right? Like let's say we're fighting here, that's closer to me. Or even if I drop back all the way to here, like maybe let you eat these inconsequential cities, being like I don't care. Maybe that was the play. Like it also would have been just incredibly order expensive to move everything back. So I think my mistake was moving everything here in the first place, and that was just a consequence of not having good vision. I remember freaking out when you founded this city.
My army over the last few turns as well, so you couldn't see the full the full whole of the army.
Yes, I didn't see it, and I didn't have vision in this city, which was horribly like I think your army was mostly here.
You can get lots of vision with agents and such.
It's expensive.
Over this large of an empire, you can only like the agent networks get more expensive the more you build.
Yep.
And you only have so many agents on characters.
Yeah.
So it's not like I can have eyes on your whole empire. If there's troops in somewhere else in the back that have been killing tribes and that can suddenly come forth. So
Yep. No, I love the fact what they've done with agents. Like I think it's been a good change that you need an agent in a city to actually have vision, because before,
of course,
you would just set up agent networks everywhere and be like, "This is great. I have perfect vision on everything they're doing," which was not very interesting.
There's still an aspect to that.
Yeah, but it costs something.
Stay invisible after returning, so you can
cheese with that.
Move the scout in, build an agent network, and then have the scouts stay around for vision.
That's true, but like you're limited on the number of scouts, right? And it takes a lot of orders to move the scouts over. Whereas before you could just have one scout set up all your agent networks and you'd be in good shape. I think it's a decent balance point. I don't know what to do about the scout popping out and just standing there. It does not feel great, but it's also necessary if you want to set up another agent. I guess the extreme would be creating an agent network maybe consumes the scout somehow and doesn't cost money. I don't know. That feels very, very hard though, because then like you're just not like in this map, like
especially since
it's just not going to move the scout.
If you're running missions, you can lose them fairly easily.
So I don't know. I think it's okay where it is.
Makes missions even harder, like agent missions.
Yeah, and they are. I was
that prevalent right now, so
I was surprised.
They can do some good work, but
I was expecting you to disrupt, especially when I was rushing increase. I was expecting you to.
I just didn't have the resources.
Okay.
I didn't have the Apadana. I didn't have many good landowner cities. Yeah. So what money I have, I needed to pour into my officers.
Yep. makes sense. It is really frustrating when someone does do that to your ink repo.
Oh yeah, I've I pretty much championed this.
Yeah, and you want a hero to do it, right? You want a hero because they have the benefit of courage. I
Yeah,
think. So
the normal hero works, but it's pretty risky. You usually want one hero with that's
bold or
proud or
something. Yeah,
ruthless or bold or
yeah.
a cold soldier.
So let's chat briefly
Once you get
about.
to 5 courage, you're
It's pretty good.
sitting at like 40% around.
Yeah,
It's like 40% success, and that's a pretty decent chance.
yeah. Um, how did you think? How did you realize that your win condition was an attack? When did you realize it, and what was your plan? Was that was always your plan, or like how do you think about win condition in the game? Like
I
you start a
mean,
game.
as Hatti, I'm always looking for my timings
Yeah,
along towards pikemen. But just from you expanding so much,
yeah,
you increased your points so much that I knew I couldn't catch up in time.
yeah.
If I was just stalemating on the center, and like I would have lost on points.
Yes, that was my goal. I wanted to.
Especially since I never attacked the Gauls, so the north was. I mean, I could
Yep.
have eventually, but
But it would have been you would have been settling behind, right? Like you're 8 cities behind, and like
nothing prevents you from grabbing
also
some of
doing.
the Gaul cities in the
Yeah,
north too. So
yeah. I had a settler here that I converted very late into a worker, but it was waiting, and then like I think he started moving up, and I was like, well, we're abandoning the plan of continuing to settle in the north, which maybe I should have kept going. I don't know. Settling 2 or
you
3
need
more cities.
just 2 of your cataphract archers or cataphracts.
Yeah, and just
You
kept
can
going,
basically
slowly
clear through
settling.
everything,
Yeah,
and
that would have been good. And you don't really have any more forces here, so I don't know.
no, I did have a scouted up here.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think it's
So
in
it's right there. Yeah,
the 2 wood high. You can
yeah,
see it.
yeah. So you
Just
would have seen it.
to look
Yeah,
out for any forces that you would try to backstab me or any
yeah,
ships anchoring
yeah,
along the northern coast. But yeah,
yeah. Yeah, I mean, I don't think I decided what my win condition was. I thought my win condition was attack, and was super concerned about getting to cataphracts, and obviously completely misread how many pikemen you would have. Um, yeah, I don't think I realized how quickly I was ahead. I just didn't. I think mentally it was like, oh, you have um, the wonder that gives culture, the mausoleum,
mausoleum. Yeah.
not the museum. I was confused the two. That one, I was like, therefore you will win on points because you are getting more culture. I just forgot I have 8 more cities, and that like is huge. So yeah, I did not think about my win condition at all. And like yeah, like I don't think tech tree points is the way. I also didn't quite realize how far I was behind in science the entire game. We're competent, but you're still ahead, I think, here. And yeah, so
By what are you judging that number of technologies discovered?
yeah, I think so.
You're 2 behind
Yeah,
on number of technologies.
so pretty close.
So
So yeah, and then science production.
I mean, in the end, I don't think you were. I think
I
you caught
wasn't
up pretty
horribly
well.
behind. Yeah, I wasn't horribly behind, but like here it was bad. Um, yeah, I mean, I just wasn't sure what my win. Did not think about my win condition. And I thought it was to attack, and then didn't. And but to attack, I just didn't. Again, I just the fundamental mistake I think this game was just not building enough training cities and not really investing in officers and just kind of faffing around with baths and priests randomly and like yeah, just not being very focused. I've learned a lot from discussing and thinking about this game, so looking forward to playing some more. One last strategic tactical consideration. I think somewhere around like turn 104, 105, I think I had like 5 or 6 dromons, and I saw like an anchored dromon here, and then like 1 or 2 here, and I was strongly considering whether I wanted to come in and like kill 2 of your dromons, but I had no idea what was here, and how many more dromons would be. And I saw a vision that you were making a dromon, like you were rushing them out at that point, I think, or like they were soon to be rushed out. You were picking up holy war, and I hesitated and did not attack. I don't know. I think it wouldn't have mattered in the end, but maybe I should have gone for it. I don't know. What's your opinion, or if you remember that moment in time?
I mean, it's hard to get accurate information on the fleets.
Yeah.
Since you can't, unless you have a schema, you can't get invisible scouts on the water. There's
Yep.
no forest to hide. So
Yep.
it's hard to judge whether you can attack or not.
Yeah, for all I knew, you had a cluster of drones here waiting. So, and I would not see them in the fog. And
I
clearing the
mean, we
fog.
went back and forth on the fleet
Yeah.
strength. I think you got Holy War earlier and rushed out some
Yep.
drones and surpassed me for a
And then you had the much better Woody
brief
con
moment,
and caught up. Yeah.
and then it prompted me to get Holy War myself and just to catch up again in fleet.
Yep.
So, and eventually overproduced again. Or
Yep. So science, we've chatted about this graph. Civics, the civics graph, is it actually used? This does not include specialist production or specialist product? How is this aggregate? I don't know
I think
exactly how
they
this,
changed the training and
to be aggregate.
civics
It's
graph
very
to
smooth. Okay.
total output. Like previously, it was everything tied up in production locally was not on
Wouldn't
the
count.
graph,
Yeah.
was subtracted. So it was like there was lots of spikes and
Yeah.
dents in the graph, but I think it's just
It
total.
looks smoother now. Yeah. I don't remember why that. Maybe this was inheritance or something.
Either
Yeah.
either the leader died or you enacted a bunch of laws to lose some from not
Income. Yeah, that might be. Yeah. Upkeep.
probably a leader dying, something,
Yeah.
or law upkeep. Yeah, that could also be.
Yeah. Yeah. So surprisingly, I'm ahead of you on training, which seems, I guess it's all the small little
It's
cities.
just a
It's not
function of
concentrated.
all the
Yeah.
cities, like the
Yeah,
base.
it's not
base production
concentrated.
of all
And
the
you want
cities.
concentrated city production because you need units, right? Like having 1/10 of a cataphract in 10 different cities does not help. And also is incredibly expensive from a resource perspective.
In terms of training time and cost,
Yeah.
the costs kind of scale up way faster than the training time.
Yeah.
Which also contributes to eventually just having a few cities is enough. Like 4 or 5 cities
Yeah.
is enough to like churn through all your resources.
Yeah. Yep.
So
You cannot produce out of every city. You just can't afford that.
yeah. But also that's because the end game units are so expensive. If you're just like tying up the resource, like building in 12-turn cataphract in like 4 cities, that's 800 resources tied up.
Yep, which you could sell and use for judges.
Production.
So,
yeah.
yeah. Yep. No, that's fair.
Like, I mean, you can start them and then rush them out with Holy War, like in the next few turns once it gets a bit cheaper or so, but
not very sustainable.
Just hard build 10-turn units in the late game. It just doesn't work.
No. Culture.
I mean, just for rushing.
Yeah.
You want to rush in your low training cities.
Yes. Yeah. I always sort.
No hard build in your good training cities since they're done in like 2-3 turns anyway. So
yeah, I was really bummed I had a slothful leader the entire the most of the game. So that did not.
You were stronger in the beginning for some time.
Yeah.
So I was very happy that your leader just you got a slothful leader just to. Oh, yeah, I've been behind for a while now. You're slothful. At least I have some edge to catch up.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, the tribe events were nice in terms of, I think I got a bunch of sort of warriors off of clearing camps, which was great. Yeah.
Yeah, if you're clearing a lot of camp, you can expect like
it snowballs very nicely. Yeah. Culture graph, I didn't realize how far ahead I was in culture, but it showed up obviously in victory points. Discontent, both of us are. I think you can see me addressing discontent pretty well here. I think you were okay as well. So, science, we've chatted a lot about sort of the Constitution, officer fueled science here, along with earlier inquiries. Although inquiries don't show up on this graph. Hopefully, they'll add some sort of research income. Money. I'm not sure why it spikes up so hard here. I think maybe discontent was getting lowered. I don't know why it went up this much this fast. It's the same leader.
If you're just finishing a bunch of improvements, or
maybe I don't know. I think
you didn't enact iconography. I think.
No, I think no. I never got vaulting. I think it was probably bringing luxuries online actually, because I got land consolidation very late as well. And
then it's probably this like the specialists and getting land consolidation.
Yeah.
At least
this is actually Groves. Yeah, like this is 50 gold, pretty much 44 gold right here by itself.
Yeah, Groves can give some good money, especially boosted with monastery. I think.
Yeah, need to build a monastery. Yeah, you did. Yep.
It's always like when looking for monastery locations, either
border
good
expansion,
or right next to a land consolidation resource.
Orders. Yeah. Persia order economy. I think what makes this win so impressive to me is just I just had a complete order advantage the entire game, effectively. Apart from very briefly, you had 5 glorious turns of your schemer.
I talked about it previously. It's just you don't have builders, so
Yep.
you need more orders for improvement construction. That
Yep.
basically every other nation can get more
Has a natural
efficiency
builder.
of their builders. So,
at the cost of civics assigning
on
them.
the economic front, that levels out there.
Yep.
But when it comes to war,
this is
I
huge.
basically need an orator. Without an orator, it gets very difficult.
Yeah, I mean, had your orator died and you not had a replacement orator, you just wouldn't have been able to move all these troops. So
I would have needed to wait for coin debasement.
Yeah, and then you go for that. Yeah. So which would have given me time to build up and like probably wouldn't have mattered, but yeah, not orator is so important.
I mean, a lot of my newer cities aren't built up with like garrisons and such. I could have gotten more orders. I also don't have very good spread of temples.
Yes.
Just if you aren't clerics and you don't get the ball rolling early in terms
of it's hard spread as well.
Disciples and religious building, it's hard to catch up.
Iron, I definitely should have gotten cohorts. I had the iron production to support it. I've been really good lately about just mining every damn hill.
So. They are very expensive, which is one of the reasons I oftentimes like getting them later is often a trap.
What do you mean? Sorry, mines or
getting
temples?
Cohorts later is often a trap. Like thinking you need them to counter infantry.
Yeah.
When it's most of the stuff is already in place, it's often. I think it's most of the time it's probably you either get them against like Babylon early.
Yeah.
Just have an early counter if you want to attack. But the iron cost, they also more have a longer training time than the other units.
Yeah, but list is a lot cheaper, especially as Persia, since you get that incredible range discount, which I keep undervaluing. It's quiet but super strong.
Also crossbows that you can get.
Yeah, which but also has the range.
If there's very little wood to go around, it's like
hard to justify crossbows.
Like on Arid Plateau, often it's like, well,
it has to be
only have iron, so
I have a lot of iron because it's very hilly.
Swordsman is the only thing I can reasonably build, so then you have to.
But stone income, you're pretty much on par, which I mean, if
when the mills got online.
Yes, was it turn 80? So was it around here? Yeah, and then lumber, where you just dominate.
One marble producing 80 stone.
Yeah, it was that much. I was looking at the civics, but yeah, that is a lot of stone. 54 plus 27, and a bunch of civics as well. And then here, I guess, wood production. You got lumber mills much earlier than I did. Persia can almost kind of ignore wood. Less so with clerics, but none of your apart after chariots, like especially if you're doing cataphract archers, nothing needs wood. Although drones do. So and ballistas do. And and this is the mills coming online here as well. So
it's also just once
focus
you get
building.
A larger empire and like you're starting to build more mines again, you're also going through wood.
Yes. Yeah.
So if you're just relying on buying, on chopping, even
you do need lumber mills. Yeah. I think you can skip them if you're trying to do like a 6 strength timing attack, where you just don't pick polis and don't pick forestry and just get stirrups and you four unit unit and just go.
I mean, I can also, as Hatti, you can also do this, especially an early archer rush.
Yeah.
You get in like your second leader is an orator. You have lots of orders to chop with your military.
You can chop with everything, yeah.
And then you just go tech into composite bow first, build a round of slingers, especially with the hunting shrine.
Yep.
And then just upgrade like a
10 archers and show up very early. Yeah, and then there's nothing early that counters archers. So apart from hiding in forests.
So a few chariots.
Yep, to clean up. Yeah, I love the ranged plus. Like that's part of the reason I love cataphract archers. Especially, it's just you have range to support melee route, and the ranged also can route. So like, it's just the range route synergy is so nice because you can just set up beautiful route chains and clean up the map.
Just because of it's a tile-based game, and
Yeah.
if you want to continue your art chain, eventually you run out of tiles to attack from melee. So
Yep. So you have to have
having
range.
those ranged units to keep
Keep the route chain going.
hitting the threshold for route is pretty important.
Yeah. And I think the nice thing about longbows is they do have 3 range, which is a little better than like a cat archer 2 range. Although the position, like cat archer being able to move around, so yeah,
it rarely comes into play, I think.
Yeah, cat archers also have mobility.
Also, if you don't have eagle eye, your damage fall off increases.
It's pretty bad, yeah.
With each tile. So.
Yeah, minus 60% at 3 range, which is not great.
If you just need that 1 or 2 point of damage, it's enough.
It is guaranteed to be minimum 1 point of damage. So a slinger can do it. Military score. This is me clearing tribes early, and then I just kind of keep producing out of one city, then start rushing Dromons. But it's just too late. I feel like had you left me alone for like maybe 15, 20 more turns, I would have won on points. But yeah.
It's pretty hard drop, but also you can see I'm pretty far on top of your.
Yeah, no, the graph is way ahead.
Is basically the difference in military strength.
Yes. Yeah. I think you just started building. You had a better training setup for officers. I didn't have good vision, so I didn't see the mass upgrade. I didn't see how many slingers. I saw a couple slingers, like, oh, okay, a couple slingers, but like I just didn't see the massive stuff that it upgraded. And then
everything is upgraded. Some of my spears were upgraded.
Yeah.
I produced even some regular longbows in the end, but I mean the longbows were mostly upgraded. But
I think one thing the tooltip was showing you is similar and competent for a long time. Maybe it flipped on your turns, but then it flipped back, and I didn't check the turns always when between my turns and see whether it flipped. Maybe that's interesting to do. I feel like the bands are kind of wide-ish or something. Like it was like you're pretty far ahead here, but this still reads as similar. Like you didn't become stronger until like
I don't know what the exact formula.
Yeah. I think number of cities
percentage, and as higher as you get higher and higher the percentage.
I think the other thing is
much more and more of a absolute power difference.
Yeah, number of cities also factors into it. So the fact that I had more cities added to my military.
I don't think so.
I thought it does, actually. It's a minor factor, but it is there. That's I believe. I haven't looked at the code and haven't asked Fluffy, so maybe they've changed it. So yeah.
It surprised me, but it could absolutely be factored into it.
Yeah. I guess the takeaway for me is similar is not safe because similar is one tick away from weaker. And if you're weaker, you're in trouble because your opponent is coming for you. I have an FFA I'm playing with where one of my neighbors is much weaker, so I just turned all my units around and I'm going there right now. It doesn't matter, because much weaker, that is an invitation. But even weaker can be very tempting to attack. So I think that for me, the takeaway is like, if you're not weaker, you should be building more. If you are weaker, if you're similar, that means you need to be stronger. Once you're stronger, then you're safe, and then you can actually go kill your opponent. So, providing terrain.
You just have the scouting information to judge adequately.
Yeah, or scouting, yeah, so that you can see whether that similar is a real similar or not, right? Slingers into longbows. I like that trick. All right, so we chatted about a bunch. I think we can chat about retrospectives. I think for me, very briefly, like biggest mistakes, what I would change, like lack of a plan in terms of what I was doing. Like I didn't have a great plan. I was like, I'm going to get cataphracts archers, which I always do, and then I will ride to victory in a glorious win for Persia. And then they roll up and they're like, oh my God, there's 20 pikemen. What is going on? Like, I've never seen 20 pikemen before. And obviously didn't have the training, production, and I think fundamentally like scouting, right? Had I sent a scout over to your lands by like turn 60 or something with any of those extra orders, I could have seen a lot of what you were doing. I also really like sometimes having a scout shadow an army if my opponent has a big concentration of troops, just parking a scout nearby and just keeping an eye on them so I know where they're going and what they're doing. That's super valuable. I never had eyes on your army until you rolled up on these hills, and then I was like, oh no. And that is the worst like intelligence failure you can do in Old World, where it's like I didn't see my opponent's army until they were on my doorstep, and that you want to see them when they're. You want to see what your opponent's producing. You want to see what's leaving their lands. You want to see like how they're killing barbarians, ideally. When they're done killing barbarians.
If the opponent is suddenly starting to building roads towards the front.
Yes, roads towards the front, always a sign. Roads towards the front sometimes are very risky because they can turn around on you, and their neutral roads particularly are usable by both.
Even roads inside.
Roads towards the front internally. Yeah.
The front is,
that tells you something. So
I mean, it could just be for defensive purposes, but it's still kind of.
And then I think
you to react appropriately.
Yeah, so I think scouting, training, lack of a plan, lack of really focusing on the sea as well. Like I actually got Dromons earlier, could have done interesting things with that, but didn't because I wasn't really focused on Dromons, and then just didn't have the econ to support them. And then I think the biggest thing was just like the biggest failure point was I saw you get professional army very early. And knew you got professional army, and I know where professional army is in the tech tree. It's right here, and I know that is on the line to infantry square, and there's really no reason to get professional army if you're not getting these techs, which means I knew you were getting pikes. I know that you know that I like mounted units, so there is no excuse for me to.
Unit as Persia,
I know, I'm going to have a mounted unit because I have a unique unit that's mounted. Therefore, pikes, if you have professional army, are in play. And now, thanks to my knowledge of agents, I can also look inside your cities and see, even if you don't pick professional army, whether you can build longbows, right? Which is on the way to pikes. I think that was the biggest thing, and just not adjusting my unit comp. Swords maybe would have came too late. Upgrading to pikes, I was worried about your unique unit, but I think you had way more pikes than unique units, so I definitely needed either ballista cohorts. I didn't get mills early, which would have gotten me ballistas. I didn't get cohorts at all. I didn't get crossbows. Polyball, you would have been interested, but I just didn't go down that line at all. I think those things stand out to me. How about you? Anything that I missed in what you think I should have done differently, or anything you would have done differently?
Oh, that's the chaos is pretty much. I think the mills is probably the office, building officers and the mills. It's what contributed on it on the economic scale the most.
Yeah, I mean,
even if you had the counter, even if you had a counter in play,
not enough. Yeah.
At this point, I would have still enough army to crush you. Not as hard as this one turn.
Yep.
Just go in and kill 2/3, but it should have been enough still.
Yeah. How about you? Anything you would do differently?
Just getting my leader killed. Just.
So how did that happen? So you had a schemer early.
Okay. I don't know what the exact condition is. It's some kind of you influence some martial type that doesn't like you, and then he comes in and attacks you or challenges you to a duel, and if you are martial yourself, you can then turn this around, and then you get your influence done essentially. But otherwise, your choices are throw him in jail and become timid. Or fight and both of you get wounded, and
you didn't want timid.
The chance and paid for it.
And wounded is like what, 15%? I forget what the percentage is of 30% chance of death. 30? So it's pretty low. So but 30.
I mean, timid is a bad perk, and you don't want timid. But
dead is worse.
I didn't beeline cartography, which was also a mistake, given that I don't have clerics and no access to an early monotheism.
Yeah.
So my orders just traded down, and you can see that in the graph, like the point where I dropped down, and then the next 30 turns I never got anywhere close.
Yeah, and meanwhile I'm complaining that I only have 30 orders. This is so little. Yeah.
And then I also didn't quite focus the economy as hard as I should. I went longbows fairly early. The plan was going down is like attacking with longbows. Like that's your attack timing, but on this map it's just I can't get across the map.
Yeah, you'll roll up, and then your small force will have been scouted, and an army will be waiting to greet you. And then once your army dies, you have no reinforcements, and your opponent has reinforcements. So
So it's just basically you get your unique unit just from grabbing the laws. Like you want,
yeah,
in terms of economy, you want monotheism for orders and
yep,
citizenship for courthouses. So at that
yep.
point, you have your 7 laws,
So when
and then you can
do
use your unique unit to clear up the tribes. That's more than enough.
yep.
And everything else in terms of military tax, you can delay until you have everything else for economy on this big a map.
The slingers don't actually go away until you get windlass. Is that right? If you get bodkin arrow, you can still build slingers.
Yeah,
That's so strange.
you need windlass and composite bow, then they go away.
Okay. So if you only have compo but not windlass, slingers are still in play. Once you have compo and windlass, slingers are gone.
But you could argue that should maybe change, like
Yeah, I mean, I feel like they should go away with
slingers not be
compo.
upgradable out of maybe crossbows not be upgradable
I
out of
mean,
slingers at
crossbows are.
all, and
I,
just from archers.
I think it's fine in that crossbows. I don't see that many crossbows ever. When they added, I did see some crossbow rushes before the scholarship prereq existed, because you could just go straight here. But I think it's fine. But yeah, I definitely want to try
Probably.
them out more. Cool.
But returning back to changes, I
Yeah.
think. Yeah, prioritizing the seas more, just getting infrastructure in your coastal cities.
Yeah.
Because although, I mean, this late you can just use Holy War in the end.
Yes. Although that doesn't
But
like it becomes very expensive very quickly. But yeah, I could have rushed more. I think I rushed a bunch here. Yeah.
but it's how important the inland sea is to army
Yeah.
movement.
Yeah.
You kind of
You'd
do
need.
want to contest the sea, so
Yeah.
having some built up coastal cities becomes
I mean,
important.
this game had the largest naval battle I've ever had in Old World. I've never had that many ships. I haven't seen that many ships on my opponent. Like we had 20 plus boats in play. Usually it's like 4 or 5 boats. So if that. So yeah, and never
Yeah,
this many
the
dromons.
one game I mentioned with Coin Debasement, that was
Yeah,
also a lot bigger sea battle. With choke points and such, you can do
yeah,
some cool stuff if you have like fire ships and grapplers and such. And
yeah. Stunning
choke
and
points.
repositioning are always valuable. Yeah, and it's so frustrating when your lead unit gets stunned and you can't attack with it, and everything is behind that lead unit. You're like, no. Um, Yeah. Cool. Anything else you want to share? We've chatted almost 4 hours about this game, and more than we narrated turn wise.
Went back and forth, probably repeated some topics.
Yeah.
It's just like the game is the systems interact so well with each other that when you start talking about one topic, it
Yep.
immediately brings all the other topics into focus too. So it's just what makes Old World such a great game.
Yeah, and also so hard to make guide videos for because it's like, okay, I'm going to talk about X. Oh, but X is related to Y and Z, and like, how do I explain? Like, I remember my unique unit video. I was like, okay, you need to know about civics and culture, and and garrisons, and how all these systems interact, where you can learn how to build a unique unit. So, but it is great. That's one of the like the interacting systems, the little small things.
Yeah. Just
Yeah.
the right amount of complexity, being
Yep.
complex as to be rewarding when you understand the systems, but
Hmm.
not being overly complex, so it's tedious.
Yep.
It's like very well designed.
Yes, each system is small enough to be like easily digestible, and then the interactions come into play. Like even little things as we tried about like chancellor
Yeah,
growth.
just
Like yeah,
stacking civics for your inquiry pump, like lots of
yep,
factors that go into it,
yep. Very cool. Well,
and
thanks for
looking for these interactions to find the good combinations and
yeah.
good tactics strategies. It's like a
Well,
lot of the fun
yeah. Well, thank
in
you for
Old
the
World.
game and the very extended discussion, and congratulations again on the victory. And always enjoy playing with you and analyzing the game with you. We've learned a lot from each other, I think. So I'll probably mean more from you,
Always a
but
pleasure playing with
so
you.
yeah. Likewise. Thanks so much. And if all right, that will end here.